make sure to check out the One Football app. It's your one-stop shop to all your latest football news, stats, lineups, team news, transfer rumours. Everything is covered on the One Football app. So make sure you click the link in the description below to download the One Football app.
Hey guys, it is Shane back here on WD18 for another preview. This time the Golden Boys head back to Tyneside to face Newcastle Saturday afternoon in what is a 3 o'clock kickoff in the FA Cup 4th round. As always, before we get into the actual game, let's talk about our previous result, which was a pretty drab 0-0 draw at home to Burnley last Saturday, in what was the first home game since the 2-year anniversary passing of Watford's greatest ever manager, Graham Taylor. A game that, well, in truth, not a lot really happened. I thought both sides were relatively lethargic. Some may say Burnley only turned up really to get a point, and they did exactly that. They frustrated us for large parts of the game. In fact, maybe Burnley even could have maybe should have nicked it with all 3 points as well. Chris Wood, I think it was, tapping in at the 88th minute, judged to be offside. Replay showed he was actually level. Jose Holnabas playing him on. So actually, I think in the cold light of day, we were lucky to get a point out of that. Now, of course, in the last round of the 3rd round of the Cup, we faced National League South side Woking, won 2-0. Wasn't a classic. We got the job done. Really, I was expecting a lot more goals, but you know, we just got the job done. I mean, Woking never really laid a glove on us, and we're kind of going from that kind of side to a side we would play week in, week out in the Premier League. A tougher game for us, a game that we've struggled with this season. I mean, you know, I was at St James's earlier on in the season. We lost 1-0. Ozzy Perez with the only goal. We failed to register a single shot on target in that game. Difficult game as well at the Vic, a 1-1 draw. Abdoulaye Doucouré saving our bacon really at the end. In a game that I think Newcastle fans will absolutely kick themselves for not getting more out of. So that's just a little bit of a background as to kind of how I'm feeling coming into the game, really. Let's head on and talk about some team news. Let's head off and start off with Watford. 2 big bits of team news, actually quite a lot of big team news as well for us. Will Hughes and Craig Cathcart are back in contention for starts this weekend. Will Hughes, of course, went off at the game against Crystal Palace with concussion. Missed out the Burnley game, but he will be back on Saturday, as will Craig Cathcart as well, who missed out the Burnley game due to a minor knee complaint. However, we will be without 3 players on Saturday, and those 3 are Sebastian Prödl, who's still nursing a long-term knee injury. Kiko Femenia is out with a hamstring problem, and Abdoulaye Doucouré has had a bit of a step back with, I think it is, I'm looking up here, yeah, it looks like it's a ligament problem in his right knee. So he was due to start the Burnley game, but I think maybe about a day or so before the game, he kind of turned up and had a bit of a complaint. He now needs extra time to rest. As a result of that, it actually means Abdoulaye Doucouré will miss the Spurs game in midweek. He is due to be back for the Brighton game on Saturday the 2nd. So that's kind of the latest team news from our perspective. Doucouré being out, I know there are lots of question marks about that against Burnley. Is he injured? Or is he just potentially getting out of injury? Is there those transfer rumours? I'm sure there are lots of those transfer rumours hanging around. I know PSG are still sniffing around. Chances are a deal will be done in the summer. I do think it's a genuine complaint though for Doucouré. However, I don't think it's a game I'd necessarily expect him to start, really. So let's now get into a predicted lineup for Watford. And let's start off, of course, with goal. I don't think Ben Foster will be keeping goal for us this weekend. It'll be the chance for our veteran goalkeeper, Aurelio Gomez, a man who I do miss seeing play in the Watford goal. I think he'll get a chance as our cup goalkeeper to come in this weekend. Our back 4, I think there'll be a few changes here. I think Daryl Janmaat will start at right back up against his old side. I know he's been I was at the fans forum where he was less than complimentary towards Newcastle and their supporters and the club as a whole, calling them actually, I'm pretty sure he called them deluded, actually. Very interesting words that I'm sure he'll be given a very, very hostile reception when he comes there on Saturday. But I think he will start at right back, with Kiko obviously been out injured. There's also a shout as well, potentially, for Mark Navarro to start at right back. I thought he did all right against Woking, but when he actually came on, against Woking. But I think Matt is the preferred option there. It's kind of like our second right back. Centre-backs, I think Miguel Britos will start. I thought he did relatively well when he came on, actually. He was winning the ball when he came on against Burnley, tidying up from at the back. Who partners him, though, I think will be an interesting question. Now, I'm kind of narrowed it down to two people. One of those people is Christian Kabasele, because he's only just come back in, and, it'll be vital minutes for him. The other one is Ben Wilmot, who I thought looked really solid against Woking. And again, it was against Woking. It was different kind of opposition, less challenging opposition. But I think he's been able to handle himself really well. I think he's handled himself so well every time he's come on, every time he's kind of had to play a part in this side. He has done so. He looks very comfortable. I think Javi sees him more as maybe like a centre mid, but he did start centre back against Woking. So I think for the meantime, I'm going to go for Kabasele at centre back. It would not surprise me if Wilmot did make a start either at centre back or in the middle of the midfield, obviously. Left back for me, Adam Messina comes in. I think Holebas will be given a weekend off potentially. Two in the midfield for me. I'm basically going to go 4-4-2 for this one. Domingos Quina starts for me. Thought he did really well. Had a couple of good opportunities against Woking the last time he played. Alongside him, I would give Tom Cleverley another run out. I think he was one of our standout players against Burnley. Just has a knack of getting things done, really. I really do like Cleverley. He's a model professional, as I said many times as well. And I think he'd be good for Quina as well to be partnered alongside someone like Cleverley, someone who's very experienced. I'm sure someone who will put him right, for use of a better phrase, really. If and when, of course, he does make the odd kind of mistakes. I think Cleverley's someone who's, as I say, a model professional, but someone you can quite easily learn off as well. And I think that's crucial for Quina's development here. And ultimately, I can't see Capoue starting, and Doucouré is injured as well. So, and Chalobah for me is just out of the picture at the moment. Maybe good enough for the bench, but I can't see Chalobah starting in this team. Then onto our wingers. I think Will Hughes will come in at the right side of midfield. I can't see Ken Stemmer starting necessarily. Although potentially there is the shout as well that Stemmer starts on the right and Hughesy maybe drops down to the bench. Difficult one, left side of midfield. I've gone for Isaac Success purely on the basis that I think Peñaranda will probably start up front in a 2 up top. And who partners Peñaranda for me? It is, of course, Andre Gray. The reason I say Andre Gray, I think Troy will be again. I think Troy will settle for a place on the bench. But the one thing I do want to mention, actually, and it's just very quickly about this team, is that actually I look at our defence, look at the midfield, it's all right. I then look at the wingers and the strikers, and I kind of realise, unless I'm missing something massive, just how limited we are in some of those positions. Because, all right, you look at our strikers, Akaka's gone out on loan. Isaac Success has been, useless up front. Jerome Sinclair, well, honestly, the less said about him, the better. He doesn't even look like a bloody championship player, that guy, at the moment. And that's kind of where my problem is. Because we've got Troy who starts up top every week. Troy can't play week in, week out. Or it's unfair on him to do that. Does he maybe need a rest? I don't know. But then when you kind of take Troy out of the equation, you've got Peñaranda, who, let's be honest, is only going to turn up for these cup games. And maybe more, as and when, and hopefully not, if we don't get knocked out of the cup. And of course there is Gray. And that's it, basically, because Deulofeu starts up top now with Troy. Deulofeu, I think, will settle for a place on the bench. I think Deeney will be on the bench. I think Chalobah might be on the bench. Wilmot, Mariappa, Dalberg, maybe Mark Navarro as well. In fact, that's maybe too many defenders. But we will have, I think, a relatively strong backup brigade. So let's now have a chat about our hosts on Saturday, and that is Newcastle United. Let's have a look at their form the last 5 games. They have won 2, lost 2 and drawn 1. The one draw, of course, was against Blackburn in the third round of the FA Cup. One of the wins was the 4-2, impressive 4-2 away win at Ewood Park. They beat Cardiff 3-0 last weekend in the Premier League, and they lost 2-1 to Chelsea as well on the 12th of Jan. Aside, as I've said before, I've got a huge amount of respect for Rafa Benitez as Newcastle manager. A shrewd operator is what I called him before our game at Vicarage Road, and it turns out he was exactly that, really. A very shrewd operator, a guy who seemed to pick all of our weaknesses and played a team and drilled into his team our weaknesses, and you know what, they turned up. Let's have a little look at their injury list, and they've actually got quite a lot of injuries. The likes of Kennedy, Federico Fernandez, Jonjo Shelvey, Mo Diame and Paul Dummett are all in contention to return this weekend. The likes of Carl Darlow and Ki Sung-young are out with long-term injuries, but there are a lot of players in there. Now, I'm not sure from Newcastle's perspective what kind of team they're really going to play. I'm not sure whether or not they're taking it seriously. I have a feeling they may well be taking it seriously, and I think they'll maybe go slightly more first team than we are. Getting off to a good start, starting strong, starting fast, being sharp, and just taking our chances. Ultimately, I hope we have a very good backup option. Hopefully, we will have very good backup options from the bench, if indeed we do need them. Last thing I do want to say, just in regards to the FA Cup as well, we've had 2 good away games. Hopefully, we have 2 good away games. Touch wood. But next round, I would be quite happy to take a back seat and go for a relatively easy home game or a home draw of some sort. As I say, I want to have a cup run this year. We need to beat the teams in front of us, and that starts on Saturday. Thank you very much, though, for watching this preview. I won't be at St James's Park, unfortunately, on Saturday. We will have a matchday vlog for you from the game. But we will all be back on Wednesday night for our trip to Wembley. Thank you very much for watching. As I say, don't forget to subscribe, and come on, you Golden Boys.